have a connection with the past and a connection with the present. Gage, do you see that connection?
That sounds like his grandfather, when he says God's thumb, that might be God's thumb.
So when Stanley's grandfather was talking about God's thumb, and Stanley sees a rock that looks like a thumb, what can we assume about Stanley's grandfather? Elijah?
Because he,
Where has he been before?
in the desert.
What desert?
And he's been from here.
He's been at Green Lake because it seems like they're seeing the same exact things. So again, here's where the past connects with the present, right? Jalen, what were you going to say?
I was going to say how God reversed the curse.
You think God's reversing the curse? Because what does it seem like it's about to happen?
Rain.
When is the last time it rained at Green Lake? Isaiah, when's the last time it rained? And what happened the last day it rained? What was the horrible thing that happened with Sam and Kate? Sam died? It's bigger than that. He did die, but how did he die? Trout shot him. But we can assume that it was Trout or one of his boys that shot him. So, it has not rained there for 110 years because the people there did something that was so awful that they felt like God cursed the land, right? And now all of a sudden it seems like it might be raining. Well, let's see. Brooke, we're on page 128, darling.
No one ever knew what he meant by that. He was delirious when he said it. But how could he live for 3 weeks without food or water? Stanley had asked his father.
I don't know. I wasn't there, replied his father. I wasn't born yet. My father wasn't born yet. My grandmother, your great-grandmother, was a nurse in the hospital where they treated him. He always talked about how she dabbed his forehead with a cool, wet cloth. He said that's why he fell in love with her. He thought she was an angel.
A real angel? His father didn't know. What about after he got better? Did he ever say what he meant by God's thumb? Or how he survived?
No. He just blamed his no-good, pig-stealing father.
The storm moved out farther west, along with any hope of rain, but the image of the fist and thumb remained in Stanley's head. Although, instead of lightning flashing behind the thumb, in Stanley's mind, the lightning was coming out of the thumb, as if it were the thumb of God. Chapter 30. The next day was Zigzag's birthday, or so he said. Zigzag lay in his cot as everyone headed outside.
I get to sleep in because it's my birthday.
Then a little while later, he cut into the breakfast line, just in front of Squid. Squid told him to go to the end of the line.
Hey, it's my birthday, Zigzag said, staying where he was. It's not your birthday, said Maggot, who was standing behind Squid. It is too, said Zigzag. July 8th.
Stanley was behind Maggot. He didn't know what day of the week it was, let alone the date. It could have been July 8th, but how would Zigzag know? He tried to figure out how long he'd been at Camp Green Lake, if indeed it was July 8th. I came here on May 24th, he said aloud. So that means I've been here 46 days, said Zero. Stanley was still trying to remember how many days there were in May and June. He looked at Zero. He'd learned not to doubt him when it came to math. 46 days. It felt more like 1,000. He didn't dig a hole that first day, and he hadn't dug one yet today. That meant he dug 44 holes, if it really was July 8th.
Can I have an extra carton of juice?
Zigzag asked Mr. Sir.
It's my birthday.
To everyone's surprise, Mr. Sir gave it to him.
Aaron, what were you going to say, buddy?
Zero is not that down.
How do you know that?
Because he said he came here on May 24th, so he said he been here for 46 days, and he dug 46 holes.
Did it take him a long time to come up with that? Did anybody else come up with that? And everybody else called Zero dumb, huh?
And on the
Say it again, Alexis.
You know, the first night when Stanley was teaching Zero, he figured out Zero figured out that there's 52 letters in the alphabet.
Yep. So he's not a dumb kid. Remember we just said he just has trouble with his letters.
Stanley dug his shovel into the dirt. Hole number 45. The 45th hole was the hardest, he said to himself. But that really wasn't true, and he knew it. It was a lot stronger than when he first arrived. His body had adjusted somewhat to the heat and harsh conditions. Mr. Sir was no longer depriving him of water. After having to get by on less water for a week or so, Stanley now felt like he had all the water he could want. Of course, it helped that Zero dug some of his hole for him each day, but that wasn't as great as everyone thought it was. He always felt awkward while Zero was digging his hole, unsure of what to do with himself. Usually he stood around a while before sitting off by himself on the hard ground, with the sun beating down on him. It was better than digging, but not a lot better. When the sun came up a couple of hours later, Stanley looked at the thumb of God. The mountains were little more than dark shadows on the horizon. He thought he could make out a spot where the top of one mountain seemed to jut upward, but it didn't seem very impressive. A short time later, the mountains were no longer visible, hidden behind the glare of the sun, reflecting off the dirty air. It was possible, he realized, that he was somewhere near where Kate Barlow had robbed his great-grandfather. If that was really her lipstick tube he found, then she must have lived somewhere around here.
Uh-oh, we just had something that we realized. We realized something about Kate Barlow, or Stanley did, because we had kind of figured that out before Stanley did. What did Stanley figure out about Kate Barlow? Izzy?
She's a man.
And how did he figure that out?
Thought that she's go to this there with the he thought that she was living.
Must have lived around there. Okay, good job, guys. Yeah, we figured that out before Stanley, didn't we?
Zero took his turn before the lunch break. Stanley climbed out of the hole, and Zero climbed down into it.
Hey, caveman, said Zigzag, you should get whipped. Then if your slave doesn't dig fast enough, you can crack it across his back.
He's not my slave, said Stanley. We have a deal, that's all.
A good deal for you, said Zigzag.
It was Zero's idea, not mine.
Don't you know, Zig,
Said X-Ray coming over.
caveman's doing Zero a big favor. Zero likes to dig holes. He sure is a nice guy to let Zero dig his hole for him, said Squid.
Well, what about me? Asked Armpit. I like to dig holes too. Can I dig for you, caveman, after Zero's finished? The other boys laughed.
No, I want to, said Zigzag. It's my birthday.
Stanley tried his best to ignore them. Zigzag kept at it.
Come on, caveman. Be a pal. Let me dig your hole.
Stanley smiled as if it were all a good joke. When Mr. Kandansky arrived with water and lunch, Zigzag offered Stanley his place in line.
Since you're so much better than me.
Stanley remained where he was.
I didn't say I was better. You're insulting him, Zig, said Zig. Why should caveman take your place when he deserves to be at the very front? He's better than all of us, aren't you, caveman?
No, said Stanley.
Sure you are,
Said X-Ray. Now come to the front of the line where you belong. That's okay, said Stanley.
No, it's not okay, said X-Ray. Get up here.
Stanley hesitated, then moved to the front of the line.
We have another conflict, don't we? With Stanley and the boys. What is this conflict? Hasn't quite gotten out of hand yet, but it seems like it could. LeBron, what's going on with Stanley and the boys? We can't see your mouth. There we go.
The other boys want to dig Stanley.
Do they really want to dig Stanley's hole? What are they doing? What's going on inside their head? They said, you think you're better than us. What is that about?
Because he wants to dig in his hole, but they don't know that he's teaching them.
But how must they be feeling about this deal? What'd you say, Aaron?
They think Zero is their slave.
So who are they mad at? Are they mad at Zero or are they mad at Stanley?
Stanley.
By calling him his slave,